Okay. It is now 10 o'clock and we have a new session of the AMBER webinars of the summer camp, we call it. It's a summer camp of the AMBER project where we share the results of the AMBER project of the last 4 years in a bit more detail. It's like a workshop. We invite people to come in, to discuss, to ask questions, and we can support and tell more about the things that we discovered and share the ideas. And today we have our 5th session of the summer camp, and we will be talking about the citizen science and barrier tracker. First of all, of the people who are here, welcome. My name is Arjan Berghuizen. I'm from the World Fish Migration Foundation, and we have been working on the communication on this webinar, and we are very happy to do this now. It's the last one of the session of 5, and we hope to have some interaction. First, you are in the view and listen mode only, so if you have questions, you can do that via the Q&A section. Sarah from Swansea University, she will check everything what's coming in, and we will make sure that your questions are being asked to the speakers. There's also the chat function at the bottom of your screen. So if you have things that you want to share, like, I don't know, links to certain reports or things like that, you can put it there. And you can raise your hand if you would like to be invited to become into the panel session, so you can communicate with us directly. That is welcome and no problem at all. So today we will talk about tracking barriers by citizens and professionals. 2 speakers, Sara Garrido from Spain is going to talk about how to use barrier tracker and also about her experiences in Spain doing so. They have been doing a fantastic job using barrier tracker, and she's, I think, one of the experts to tell more about that. After that, we have Bas Dilman, who has been working with World Fish Migration Foundation and has been developing the app from beginning to now. And he will evaluate, like, okay, what did we want in the beginning, and how did it end up in the end? And after that, I hope to have a discussion with all of you about, okay, what's next? What are we going to do with this program, the citizen science program, and about barrier tracker? And hopefully we'll have a fruitful discussion, and maybe it will lead to new projects, who knows? So for now, I would like to ask you, Sarah, to open your video and open your microphone and share your experience and thoughts with us about barrier tracker.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Thank you, Arjan, for having us here today. It's really nice to have the opportunity to explain what we did for the AMBER project here in Spain. So I am Sara Garrido. I worked for the AMBER project for the last years for AINS Ríos con Vida in Spain. And a bit of context for those who don't know what AINS Ríos con Vida is an NGO that focuses all its work on the fight for rivers in the national level here in Spain and in the local level, of course. And we have a wide network of contacts and partners. And because of this, we have been in charge of the AMBER communication program in Spain. We contribute as well to other different work packages, but we have very intense participation in communication actions and, as part of it, the awareness actions. So in these following minutes, I would like to show you the keystone of the AMBER awareness program, the barrier tracker, how to use it, the different options that we have, and by the end of this presentation, I would like to show you the case in Spain, the evolution of the awareness program that we did.
Sarah, just to be sure, we don't see a presentation yet. No, you're just introducing. Sorry.
Introducing, yes, because I'm going to change. I'm going to show a video, then I'm going to use the app with my phone. So I'm just okay, so first of all, just talking a little bit, and then I would say I have my device, different devices, so we can use the barrier tracker on live, and then we can see a video on my computer, and then a presentation, so I'm not sharing yet. So just I don't know what I was. Sorry. So video, barrier tracker, and then a presentation where I was so like briefly the different options that we use here in Spain, and how we change the perspectives as we encounter some different obstacles. Okay, so first of all, just 1 minute video of the app. This is one of the things that we did in Spain. We record some videos of how to use the app, different barriers. I will show you later. And the video is in Spanish. It has English subtitles, but the idea of these videos that you see how fast it can be for a beginner. If you have your ideas clear about one barrier, for example, you go to the river and you find one barrier, and you just analyze it a little bit and think about what type of barrier it is and the effect of it and the size, etc. And the video shows that in 1 minute you can upload a record to with the barrier tracker for the layer of the atlas that is the citizen science program layer. Okay, so it's just 1 second. I'm going to open the YouTube video and share my screen. Where are you? You are here. Compartir pantalla. Okay. Compartir. So we have here, as you see, different videos, and this is the YouTube, the Angios Convida channel, and we have different videos. We have the AMBER reproduction list, and here is it. I hope. Okay, so just give me 1 second. How to stop sharing my, I don't know, I can see how to stop sharing. Well, Arjen, can you help me? I can't.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay, thank you so much, because I now had to turn to my phone. Thank you very much. So as you could see, the app barrier tracker is very simple. It's very friendly. It's very straightforward. Just few questions, and the idea is that every citizen can download it, and even though if you don't have any idea about what fragmentation is or the different type of barriers, you have the option to learn about it and to help the AMBER project. Okay, so now I am going to use my own app, my phone with my own device, and I would like to show you how to do a record, but as an expert. And now I show you about the different levels of the barrier tracking. Let's share the different screen. Okay, that is my phone. Great. So first of all, you can see it good. You can hear me good? I hope you can hear me good. Otherwise, someone will.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Thank you, Arjen. So first of all, you open the barrier tracker. I want to start with changing the language. I have it in Spanish. I want to show you that the barrier tracker has been translated into 10 different languages, and probably soon there will be more languages. It will be translated into more languages. Here you can see, first, the user. We strongly recommend that you sign in. This is why, because you, if you sign in, you have all the records on your phone, and you can, as you can see, download the records here in the bottom of this screen. You can see it, and you can manage them, so to say. First thing, for example, what I was saying about the rank. So this is like a game. It has different layers: beginning, explorer, and expert. So the more number of barriers we record, the higher the level. The higher the level, the more questions to fill, more complete is the record. So more information is attached to the location of that barrier, and that is very important for the atlas. However, if you don't want to fill more information because you don't feel comfortable with it, or whatever the reason you have, you can always change it, and you have here a switch that you can move to one side or to the other, so you can get all the questions or just the few more simple questions. Okay, and at the bottom you will see later. Well, we can do it right now. In fact, we can download the records. I want to show you how fast this is. If you have your user, you can download the records. If you don't, you cannot download the records. So you just click. The WIREFRAMES Migration Foundation will send it an email by email. It is in form of a CSV. It is very simple. It's very fast, and the email, you get the email like in a couple of minutes. Always, it's very fast. We request the WIREFRAMES Migration Foundation to include this option here, because we saw, well, we ourselves were going to the field and recording barriers, and we wanted to use that data afterwards, and we didn't have the option at the beginning, but now with this button and with this system, we can have it, and it's very useful. And for example, groups at universities, students, or just NGOs in the local level, we already know that there's different groups in Spain that are using this and downloading the information. And I think, yes, you can see the WIREFRAMES Migration Foundation just sent me the barrier tracker records. I wanted to show you how fast that is. So let's do a record as an expert, okay? It's very simple. I only want to show you the number of questions that we have in addition. It's simple anyway, like as a beginner or as an expert, it's very simple. So, which is a photo. I have here my photos of my own records, and I want to show you, for example, here, these are all the barriers that I uploaded. I want to show you this little guy. This is a step weir. So we're going to record this one. So how to use it? You can see that you have different options. One thing that I really like is that you have the description of the different barriers here, that you can open it, you can check the pictures, you can navigate through this barrier guide, and so you can see if what you have in front of you is one type or another, if you are not sure, if you are not expert. So this is very useful, in my opinion. In this case, we have this second question about the barrier. This is very clear. It's a step weir that is pretty close to where I live. Again, you still have your guide, your barrier guide, and you can see the different options and read all the descriptions and check pictures. So it is very easy. And then the fast questions. how big it is. Yeah, it was bigger. If it contains a fish pass, very important. Sometimes just with the one picture, you cannot see if there's a fish pass or not. So that's why it's so important to be in the field and track it and take a look around, because sometimes the fish passes, you cannot see it from the very barriers, from the set location of the barrier. So it did not contain a fish pass. It extends across the entire water course. The river is about 4 meters. The river is the Esgueva River. The height of the river right now in this situation was like medium, and it is in working condition. Then you can add here some notes, anything that you consider important, and then finish. So let's see if I can get the location, because before this morning it was taking some time, and I would like to show you how fast it is to, yes, there it is. So we are here, and where it is, it's here. So this is very common that happens, that you are in the field, that you don't have very good connection, and you have to modify the location by hand. And I want to show you how fast it is. You just click whatever you think it is, and you can zoom in, zoom out. It's very fast. And then finish. Then you can submit it now or save it for later. It is very simple. We are not doing it now. I want to show you something else. I want to show you the two atlas, or it's not just two atlas, it's the same atlas, but you can see different options depending on how you get into the atlas. And I think this part is very, very useful for us. First, you can click on the bottom. You can you can see the app data, the layer that is built with all this data that we are uploading with the barrier tracker. But then you can change it to the atlas data. Now this is the official atlas of barriers in European rivers. So when you are in, I don't know, you are around here and you think you're not sure if that barrier is uploaded or not, if it's in the atlas or not, you want to participate and you want to see if that, for example, weir is in the atlas, you can come here, check if the official data has that barrier or not, and if not, you can upload it. But if it has that barrier, you can always upload it and then validate that information that is in the official database. You can play a little bit with the options. You can see here the type of barriers, and for example, let's click on weir. So you can just see the ones that you want, or also you can change the way you see the atlas. And then we have another option that I use a lot as well, and this is going through the website. You click on the top of this little, yeah, there, and you go to the portal, the AMBER International Portal, the Citizen Science Portal. So here, the good thing is that you can see all those data that you saw in the first map, okay? But then you can click on the barrier and you can see the type of information that is attached to that location, to that barrier. So for example, it's taking some time. Let's imagine, well, now I have it. Let's see. I have here just in the center of Madrid, for example. I want to show you how I use this. Whenever we are in the field, we just check if someone has been there, if any other barrier tracker has been there, and what kind of information, if they found a barrier that I've seen, for example, if someone uploaded, what kind of information uploaded? I mean, was a beginner? If it's a beginner, we have just like 4 or 5 questions. It's very simple. It's very useful, but still we can improve that information attached. So, for example, you can come here, you click on the barrier, and then you can see the picture. So you can check if that is the same barrier that you have in front of you. You can see when was it uploaded, when was it recorded. You can check the information. Now, I'll tell you about this later because we have some groups on board. You see that this is official picture talking about by forestry staff in this area. You can see the location, when was uploaded, the picture, so you can check if this is the same or not barrier, and then you can see if this barrier was uploaded with as a beginner or as an expert, for example, because of the information that it has attached. So whenever we find a barrier, most of it, yeah, the most important barriers for us right now are the small barriers, because normally these are not on the official databases. And then we can check if someone uploaded already or not, or if we can add more information. And then this tool is really, really good for me to check that information, so you can always improve the information that is already there. Okay? So I think this is the most important part of the barrier tracker. And now I'm going to show you because I think I have been like 15 minutes talking. I want to show you the what we did in Spain, the different kind of actions that we organized in Spain. Okay, so now I'm going to show you my presentation in my computer. And this is here. Let's present my presentation. Can you see my
Yeah, we see it very clear.
Great. Sorry, this is the there. So the communication campaign in the Spanish case. The app barrier tracker is not just the only tool. I mean, it's the keystone of the AMBER Citizen Science program, the Let It Flow program. Okay, we have other tools. We don't have time for that now, but today is about the barrier tracker. So why we and how? No, what kind of tool did we want it? We wanted a tool for awareness mainly, so it had to be simple. It has to be fast, friendly. Yeah, like the barrier tracker. I think we did a great job there. I mean, I really like the barrier tracker. And also, it has to be a tool that collects information. So we can make this layer of the atlas with all the participation of the citizen science. So how we did that? We focused our actions. We address mainly to the general public at the beginning. But, well, we talk about fragmentation. The idea was to focus everything on barriers, no? Identification of barriers, the problems, fragmentation, the AMBER actions, the tools, everything about the project. And we have really good participation there. We really like it. People enjoy our actions. They were very eager to use the barrier tracker, but we didn't have so many people. I mean, it's never enough when you are so passionate about this. It's like We want more people to get to know the AMBER project. We want more people to use the barrier tracker. And we start thinking about how we can do this, no? Also, how many people were of those groups that participated in the action, how many of those people were in fact AMBER users, no? And how we can make more people to get the barrier tracker, no? And have more interest about this. How can we get more data and better data? And one thing that we saw, that we realized in this action, is that there's just very little previous knowledge about fragmentation. And most of all, the main obstacle was that the perception of barriers were very positive. I mean, our participants were very positive about having a weir or having a dam or a big reservoir in their areas. So we saw that we had to change the perspective. We had to make more general actions, and so we can get more people on board and to include other groups. Okay. So we start contacting environmental educators. Why? Because they already have environmental programs that have a lot of actions about rivers and other things, of course. They have a huge network and they could amplify AMBER actions. This is one of the actions that we did in Madrid with some of the environmental educators, and they were very happy to participate because they learn, well, they say they learn a lot. I'm sure a lot of them knew about this situation, but they make the commitment to include this situation, these problems, these concepts in their environmental awareness program. So we create like a different network of ambassadors, okay? Like they could spread the word and amplify what we could do. We also address to forestry groups. Why? Groups that are already in the field, groups that already know where the barriers are, and most important, the small barriers, because the big barriers you can find them in orthophoto or it's easier to find. But the small barriers that matters a lot, that has a huge impact, are not so easy to find, and these people knew it. On one hand, we organize actions just with them to explain about the project, to explain the app, to explain how important is that they contribute to this project, how we validated the databases, and we saw that there were so many barriers that were not in the databases, that were not in the official records. So we need these kind of groups that already know where the barriers are to get a better information of the situation. And also because they already know about the fragmentation issue. So it's easier to talk to them. You can go straight to the point. I mean, just what you need, and they are really in the field. I mean, whenever they have their phones with them, and they have many apps, and they contribute to many different projects like this, so they can improve the information of the environment. Also, we change the perspective. I mean, we keep doing actions addressed to the general public, but what we did was to make them like broader. I mean, we talk about rivers and barriers, of course, but not just barriers. It wasn't focused anymore just about barriers and the AMBER project, because of this perception of barriers. We want them to come to talk with us and to see our perspective. I mean, it's not just remove them all. No, it's let's manage the barriers. We need you to help us so we can know where the barriers are, and then we can improve the management of our barriers, of our infrastructures in our rivers. And why is that so important? No. So, for example, this action here, we went one thing. We collaborate with Environmental Awareness Center, first of all, so we can use their network to spread the word, and we have a huge participation. People were really very interested in participating in the action. A lot of people came, and some people are asking for more of these actions nowadays. Then we went to, this place is a protected area. So we also have this appealing thing that you are going to a specific area that is protected, that is, and we want to improve this place, for example. And other thing that we did was to start making these kind of videos about the barrier tracker, how to use it, how to make a record, how to download the records. So it's easy because we cannot get to every single place, I mean, or to every river, but we can have some different tools like this that anybody could see now in 2 months or in 3 years from now. Like different type of barriers, how they are, I mean, how you recognize them, the problems that they have, and how you can always record it with your barrier tracker. And last but not least, we did more actions addressed to more specific groups, like technical groups. We cooperate with different universities, such as Polytechnical University of Madrid, or here's a case I want to show you as well, that we cooperate with the University of Burgos in the north of Spain. And we did different kind of actions. This case was a workshop in Madrid, and then we went to the field and we visit this here. This is the place where it was a dam that was removed, and we wanted to visit the area and see how was it behaving after the removal. We did actions with centers for professional education, that is like 18 years old, is addressed to students, so like between the university and the school, but they are already focused on what they want, and there was environmental programs. So this was kind of a step forward, like things that you can do and how you can help with other projects that are ongoing, and they were really interested in the project. And also with local NGOs for that are fighting for rivers as well, because they already as well know where the barriers are, and they also were very eager to cooperate with us. This case here is one of the courses that we did with the University of Burgos. In the first place, we were going to just go to the field, 20 people group, like a family, and go there with the different projects. The university coordinated a course, and we were like, I don't know, 5 or 4 projects with citizen science tools for rivers, just focus on rivers. And these tools, I mean, this course was such a great success, and it's like a joke, but we had the COVID, we were all at home, so we had to reorganize the course. And instead of going to the field that everybody loves, and it's what the people like the most, we stay at home and we did videos. So we did a course that addressed to university, to students, but it was open to every single person, like to the general public as well. And then we have, from 20 participants that we wanted to have, we had almost 800. And so everybody was at home. They already had the time to connect, to do a different course. And also it was important, the change of perspective. It was a broader action. It was about rivers, not just about barriers. And we explained other tools because we couldn't use the barrier tracker. I mean, there were some people that we still made a video and explained how to use the barrier tracker, but we explained a different tool. And in 1 week, from having Spain like empty, almost empty, we have all these barriers recorded. So citizen science is like, it's a great tool. I mean, we only have to to focus on what we want, and depending on that, address to one type of group or another. It is true that it takes very long time to get some groups on board. For example, it took very long time to get the forestry staff on board, and so you have to be really sure you want to spend that time there, because the easiest thing I think is to organize things with the general public. But we didn't want this to be just one action or 20 or 100 and that is that. No, we want to include this information. We wanted this information to be included in the environmental awareness programs of these awareness centers. We want specific groups to be aware of this tool, because it's going to be working for some time, even though AMBER project is ended, and we still have a lot of things to do, and there's so many barriers that we still can record and that we can improve that at last. So depending on what we want, if we want if we want awareness, it's very clear, we just address to the general public. If we want data, a lot of data and quality data, then we have to get some other groups on board. And also we have to think that these kind of groups as well do awareness themselves. So I think if we had to start over, I would change our perspective. But in the end, I think we did a great job. I think we had a lot of groups on board. I think the general public really enjoyed. And we still have a lot of emails asking, hey, we can still use the barrier tracker even AMBER ends, and what can we do? And we have a lot of questions to answer. And people is really liking the barrier tracker. Now the question is, Ari, I'm sorry, I'm going to make the question myself, but we face some situations where the technicians, the students, ourselves wanted to get the barrier tracker further and to get more information. And we know there are some groups that are willing to do that. Even though this is an awareness tool and this was designed just for awareness and for the general public, should we do more? That is the question, and that's what I think we should do. So this is what I wanted to say. Arjan?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Sarah. I think that was a very clear overview, and you already gave some directions of what you think what we should do in future. And but before we go into the discussions, there are some questions, I believe, Sarah.
Okay.
And Sarah Barrento. Sarah Barrento is managing the questions. But maybe, yeah, we have two Sarah, one from Portugal, one from Spain, both for the AMBER project.
And both wearing the AMBER t-shirt. So
yeah, cool. Yeah.
So
yeah, we have a few questions, but maybe I'm not sure. I mean, what do you think? Should we discuss them now or maybe after the presentation of Bas?
As you prefer. I mean, we have time, but maybe we can have two questions now and maybe have more.
Well, it depends, because I saw some questions in the Q&A, which are also maybe something that Bas is talking about. So in that case, we would have doubling. So therefore, in this case, I think let's have this Bas presentation first, and then after that we'll go through the questions. Is that okay?
I'll keep on collecting them.
Okay, Bas.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. It's
So
all yours.
I'll be talking about the barrier track, how we actually made it, how we decided on certain things, and how we think it might look in the future. So my name is Bas. I work for the World Fish Migration Foundation. I do all kinds of design things, video, website work, and now in the AMBER project working on the app. So looking all at the beginning, what we started doing, no, let's first go to what we have now. Now to date, we have over 6,000 barriers tracked in the barrier tracker. That's all over Europe. And that's a lot, in my opinion, because there are a lot of apps launched that are launched and then are not used by people or are too difficult and they will stop being used. So this is already really, really good. We're really happy with this. And in total, we have almost 31,000 records. So keep in mind, that's not barriers, because we have a citizen science portal that also allows you to answer questions about certain barriers and to say if what other people put in the barrier tracker is correct. So this is everything combined, also the wrong ones. So you could say that with all our citizen science effort, we had almost have 31,000 records of pieces of information from all over Europe relating barriers in rivers. So at the start, who are our users? Who do we make it for? It's for citizen science. So it should be simple to use. It shouldn't be complicated, because then people start asking questions. And if an app is not clear, then people will just stop using it and never open it again. And on the other hand, also have an option that experts, people that know more about it, also have an option to use it and to not be like, oh, this is very simple data, I cannot really do anything here, or I have more information, why can I not give it? So that's where we started. Then we basically quickly went to wireframes, sketches, as you can see here. Those are just blocks that the app would consist of and how a user would go through the app. So from the beginning of the menu to tracking a barrier, to where would they click, how would they use it, where would they go afterwards. And sketches to try different layouts and test it with other people. Okay, does this make sense to you? And coming back to the part of also experts being able to use, you wanted to include different levels. So if you add a certain amount of barriers, that you would then have an option to add more information. As Sarah also said, then you have different levels and you get more information that you can put on each barrier. So that as an expert, you give a better overview or a bigger picture of the barrier and all the extra information about the barrier. And then of course we had barrier icons. So we had to make it as simple as possible. And that's always tricky with icons, because they have to be easily understandable without giving too much explanation. So we went through all kinds of barriers. We made all kinds of icons. And there you have it. There's a what was this? It was a wing dam. And we had more things. We had embankment dam. We had ramps. And those also had to be tested, and those also had to be seen, like, okay, are these clear? Do these need any more explanation? Do these need any changes? So there was quite a big process of getting them as clear as possible. And then it didn't stop there, because we also wanted, as Sarah also talked about, was to have a portal where people could check their records. They would see a video that it would explain why we do this, all about AMBER, but also to have gamification elements. So give it a few elements that would make it feel more like a game. So in terms of high scores, levels, and on the citizen science portal, you can see a map. I'll show it here. And here you have on the right side, you have the high score, you have the barriers, the most recent ones. And on the left, you see a little trophy icon. And if you click there, you see all the users, so all the people that registered, and how many barriers they had. And for example, the person that has the most barriers tracked. And then you can select per user, you can select per country, but the idea was to give people some competing element of, okay, who's the best barrier tracker in Europe? And I think that the top score has over 300 barriers tracked. So pretty good. So whoever can beat that, go right ahead. Oh yeah, here you see it. So we have Santiago in the lead, our own Josh Jones, which with not that far behind. So you can see that people are active. There's some active competition going on in terms of barrier tracking. And there you can also see you can select for country. So if you live in a country where no barriers are tracked yet, go right ahead and track some barriers. And then this is what I mentioned before. This is also included in the records. This is a classification tool. So all the barriers that have been tracked by people will be put here, and then people can answer questions about this, and then it will correct in the system and help the system to select if dams were put in the right category, or whether things are not dams at all, or whether they added wrong. And here you can see this is also being used quite well. 11,000 classifications submitted, so 11,000 questions answered. So that's a nice way, you know, like without the app to still participate, because we wanted to give some other options apart from the app. And the same thing there is located barrier that Sarah is also, you know, they've made quite a good use of it. Here, if you look at Spain, I think they also had over 6,000 barriers that they manually added here. So that can be done without the barrier tracker, to give people the option to, without the barrier tracker, still track barriers from home. Let's say you can go into the map, you can click, and then you can select that you found a barrier there. So that's a nice extra option, and it will also be put into the system. Oh, and this is what we also, there's an option in the app. Sarah showed you, you can track barriers from home if you know where they are. We wanted to have this as an extra option so that you don't have to go out. And now it came in handy, because now people had to stay home and they could do it themselves. If they knew where a barrier was, they could drag the marker to the location of the barrier and then select, hey, this is where the barrier is. Maybe add a photo that you made before, maybe not, as long as you add the data. And you can track it when you're in quarantine, when you're in lockdown. So that's a nice extra addition that we included. And then of course you're testing, and we had the project running and it was coming in, but it wasn't coming in as fast as we wanted. Tests were good. People got it, like how the app worked. People didn't stop using it, but we wanted to get more people to have it spread better across Europe. People use it a bit more. So we started looking like, okay, why are people not using it? So after some questions, some research, we checked into, okay, that for some people the motivation to go out and to do this is like it's a big ask if you're not already out there and you know about it. So it's a big thing to explain to people and to motivate them, you know, go out and go to your rivers if they're not already doing that. So that was something that we found. We also found that people really wanted to download their own data. So this is also related to the more experts, the people from water authorities or river managers, that just they have all this data and they also want to use it because they want to, you know, make use of it themselves, do some improvements on their own river. So that is something we later also included, to give, you know, to listen to people. Okay, what are people saying? What is the feedback? What can we do with this? And it was well received. And of course, the target audience. Are we targeting the right people? Initially, we were like, okay, citizen science, so it should be everybody, but also organizations related to maybe sports on the river, or fishermen that depend on a healthy river. But this was also researched a bit better, and then afterwards also we came to the conclusion that it needs more promotion in the field. And as Sarah also showed very nicely, you need to show people how it works. You need to have some package ready with flyers. What does the app do? How do I use the app? And actually show them how easy it is. And once you have the people already there, these are people that are generally already interested in it. They will spread the word nicely, and this helped. This helped a lot, and this helped the barrier tracker to get some traction and to get more popular across Europe, let's say. And another important thing we discussed at the beginning of the project, that we don't just want people to be a sensor for us. So like we just send people out there, they give us data, we don't give them anything in return, no thanks, no nothing, just put in your data and that's it. So we started contacting active trackers to ask them about more information. Thanks for their participation, and this is something that, you know, that everybody appreciates. Nobody wants to just send in things and then don't know what happens with it, don't know how we use the data. So this also helped with you know, like how people perceive the project and feel like they're really a part of it, instead of just running around with an app, tracking some barriers and send it to who knows where. And we've been running with that for a while now. We have a nice amount of data. We have a lot of barriers, and the AMBER project is officially ended, but we still have the barrier tracker, and we think it's a great tool, and there will always be a lot of barriers and rifts, and we haven't scratched the surface, let's say. So we have the world basically. So we say like, okay, why don't we start using it globally? And you can see here, like we've just done that. You can see that the bulk of the barriers is in Europe, you know, where we launched it, where we focused on. But now that we are saying like, okay, let's see how this works in the world. Can we get barriers from all over the world? Can we see where a lot of barriers? Can we see where we can help, or we can do something? So that's very important, because otherwise it stops, and all the people that have been tracking barriers for us now, it ends. Thanks, bye. So that's something we want to prevent. So I want to continue using it, and maybe we can use it for other things. Maybe because there's another project that helps removing dams. Maybe data like this can be used, you know, to really, because AMBER then helps to find it, and then another project helps to remove it, and maybe you can then find combinations and future use of the barrier tracker, make it, you know, as good as possible without stopping it, maybe changing it a bit. And I think that's also a nice link to the next part of the webinar, to see, okay, what do you think we can do with the barrier tracker? Like how can we use it more? Like what are good uses? What are good examples? What should we do? What shouldn't we do? And I'll leave you with that. So
okay,
thank you.
Thank you very much. This has been very, very interesting, Bas, and really nice to see how you present it. Clearly a new generation at Word. Very nice to see. Thanks. So now we have had two presentations, one about experiences in Spain, an explanation of the app and how it was produced, evaluated, and what we're looking to forward. Can we maybe start with some questions, Sarah Barrento, about the two presentations?
Okay, of course. So first question, so from Ruta, is it possible to check the information of the barrier in the atlas? It seems I can press only on the app points and not the atlas points.
Who can respond on that? Bas.
Well, that is true, because correct me anybody if I'm wrong, but from the citizen science we have we have extra information like the photos and all that kind of things. And as far as I know, the atlas doesn't provide the photos. The data is gathered in a different way. In the citizen science portal, we can just link it to our system of the citizen science, which just provides the photo and all this extra information. And the atlas gets the data from a different point, and maybe both Sarahs can expand on that, but I think that that's why you can only click in the citizen science map and not click in the atlas map.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Thanks.
And the other question from Urus, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but how often is the Berry Atlas database updated? So removing, merging data from duplicates, adding new locations, adding newly submitted data on already known barriers. I'm not sure if this is for Bas or maybe even Josh.
Well, I know that the citizen science portal, so the map of the citizen science is updated like right now. It's updated all the time because people keep adding things and new pins appear. In terms of the atlas, I am not sure how often that is updated. Maybe Josh can respond to that.
Yeah, the actual atlas is currently in its first version, and there are no concrete plans to update it. So there's not going to be an update schedule at the moment. Going forward, if we have another project funded, or someone else takes on the database, then there will be further updates. But
yeah,
not.
But this is it is definitely in progress to get that further. So yeah.
This is not a question, this is a comment, but I think it may be a useful one. It follows from the previous question from the same person, Urus. So this is an idea, this saying, a new category, removed barriers, as historical record, hopefully a growing category in the future. So this is referring to the fact that when we update this, and if we are starting to implement new management, and this includes removal, then we should have a new category which should be removed barriers. Just a comment. I thought it was nice to mention it live. So then we have 3 other questions from, let me just, okay, actually 4 questions from Anneke. And I'll start with the last one actually. Why is the data from the citizen science portal not displayed with the Atlas data?
Yeah, maybe I can respond to that, because that decision was made because the context, the definitions of everything that has been mentioned for what is a dam, what is a ramp, what is a etc. That requires quite a lot of discussion, and to make sure that people know it properly. That has not been possible to do that for all citizen science people. That has been possible to do for the institutional data that has been gathered. So it's because of the data. How do you say? I mean, that's the reason that, so for sure, for the inventory that has been done based on databases, from official databases, we know what is what, but for the citizen science database, that is less secure. That's why it's been decided to make 2 different layers. It is the intention that in future that you can give better training to people about what is what, that you could combine these 2. But that has been so far not been the case.
I also just adding to this, Arjen, I think it's important to have 2 databases, or at least to know exactly where the data is coming from, also for future studies. When we want to refer where is this data coming from, we need to be sure, there is a big difference between the official databases that we can get this from official institutions. And another thing is to have data from citizen science and professionals that walk the rivers. So I think it's good that they are separated at the moment. They may be included, but I think even if in the future, if we include them both, we always need to know what is the source of the data, so that we can refer back to it. For instance, important if we are writing a paper to refer where the data is coming from and to understand, you know, all the background from it. I have a question here that
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Also, I think it's very important to have them separated, because one of the potential users of the Atlas, of the European Atlas, are precisely these the organizations that manage rivers, and they are in charge of their databases. So if they want to use the citizen science layer, they always can just join them, but still have the dots, the locations differentiated if it's data from their own databases or if it's citizen science data. Then they can improve their databases by knowing this other citizen science database and the dots were the location of the barriers, by contrasting them. But if we put them all together, then they have to erase kind of their own data to see the citizen science data. So it makes sense to have like two different pack of information, I think.
Aneka just made a comment which is interesting, just for future reference. It may be interesting to have all data in one map, but just change the shape of the symbol so that you can see if it is institutional data or citizen science data. This would save having to flick between two maps to see if a barrier has already been recorded. So I think that's a good point. I'm gonna have another question here, and this is for Sara, because she mentioned something about the languages and how many languages the app is translated to. So this is from Maria, I suppose she's in Greece. She says, hello, what about translating the app in other languages? For example, it's not translated in Greek.
Well, I can answer that, but I think Ariane also has something to say. We translated the app just ourselves. I mean, we didn't have someone to translate into different languages. So first of all, we translated into the languages of the partners that were participating in the project. Then we start adding other languages when we have the option, because we have a collaboration with someone in Portugal, or we have someone in some other countries. So the languages are just the ones that we could make ourselves, most of it.
Oh, yeah, indeed. So the 11 languages where our partners are present have been done by our partners ourselves. Then there have been requests from, for example, from Ukraine to have it done as well. And now there's always also from Norway a question to translate it, and we are very much open for more. And the app builder does charge an amount of money to process that all. And so if there's a request from people for a new language, that can be done, but there is a price which is not incredibly much. But it's not a price very high. So the amount of money is not paying for the translation, because you can do it yourself. Volunteers can do that. But it's about the processing, and that's, I don't know, a few €100, something like that.
And thank you, Polona, for also making the observation in the chat that basically volunteers are translating the app. So first question from Aneka, actually, that she made. So if the app is targeting citizen scientists, shouldn't the experience level be linked to the level of training rather than the number of barriers they find? So
oh yeah, that's maybe Bas, you want to react to that?
Well, that is nice, but then how do we check something like that? Barriers, we can just simply automate the system, saying like, okay, if somebody added at least this amount of barriers, we then can sort of say, okay, this person is committed, dedicated, maybe an expert or maybe a very active citizen scientist barrier tracker. And yes, with training, of course, then yeah, we would have a better differentiation who's really an expert. But then how do we, for example, connect that to an app? How do we automate that process?
can
Is
I
that-
can add something to that. I don't know, Aryan, do you want to add something? But I can add a few
Yeah,
things.
you go ahead. Go ahead.
So to clarify, and I think this both Bess and Sarah, they made the point that the app was initially, thinking about simplicity in the fact that you can easily record, and it was initially citizen scientists, but of course it's also for professionals, and actually it has been used by professionals. There is environmental administrations in Spain, like Fish and Game Department in Extremadura, which is a region in Spain, who are using the barrier tracker to track new barriers, for instance. And of course, the level of training goes without saying that it will be related with also with the number of barriers that we can record. So the more people we train, and actually Sarah mentioned, they've been training different groups of citizens on how to, because it's very important, I agree. There are so many different barriers and levels that we need to train. And the app itself has this option there that Sarah mentioned. The first thing that the app does is showing you what is what. And of course, the more we can train, more barriers we will have, more data, better data, which also Sarah mentioned. And this will add to the lack of information we have. We need to understand, and this comes from, it's almost like a summary of the AMBER and what we've been discussing in the past 2 days here. We walked 2,700 kilometers of streams in different 28 countries. We now know that more than 1/3 of barriers are not recorded, that they are unrecorded. The total of barriers we'll have is over 1 million. So many thousands need to still be recorded. We have the most fragmented river landscape in the world, and this we found out, with hardly any unfragmented free-flowing river left. And I think it's easier to see the big dams, right? But what we found out is most barriers are small, many are obsolete, large dams get the greater attention, that's easy, they're big, but actually small barriers do most of the damage. And these are also the easier ones the most difficult to record, I would say, and usually the cheaper ones to actually remove and do some management and intervention. So I'm also asking for people out there to tell about the barrier tracker, not only citizens, but as mentioned to professionals in general. So it's a simple tool that has told us a lot, actually. But this goes back, I guess, to I don't know if anyone wants to add anything to
I
this.
do want.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Hope Sarah to talk a lot. Spanish and Portuguese is difficult to manage.
It's just a fast comment. When we talk with experts and we told them that they had to record 5 barriers before getting all the questions, they didn't really care. I mean, when you realize it's just 5 barriers, when you are committed to this, you find 5 barriers like in the first day, and it's so fast to record them, and then you get all the questions, because in the 2 higher levels you have the same questions. So they didn't really care to have to record these 5 barriers first. It was just something easy for them. So I think this is one way to make it simple for citizens, and then have as well the experts on board.
Okay.
And I guess then, Aren, can I go for next question?
Yes.
Which kind of moves on from what I mentioned in a way. So will AMBER be using the data, Atlas and citizen science, to run prioritization models, similar to the models used by the Environmental Agency in England? Josh, maybe you can mention it.
Yes, we are going to, because we're going to use this information to address the EC's biodiversity strategy to free up 25,000 kilometers of river in Europe. So we will be making use of both of these data sets to identify first to identify catchments at a regional level, so which catchments are worth targeting, and then use the citizen science data to give us an idea of where we are likely to find obsolete structures. and then use these
okay.
to the target.
Yeah.
So thank you, Josh. Does anyone want to add anything to this? If not, I have one last question.
Yeah.
From Aneka also. In the UK, many of our rivers are not publicly accessible and landowner permission is required to do walkovers. This makes it very difficult to citizen scientists to do without an organization managing and coordinating surveys. How could AMBER lower this barrier to entry?
Oh.
Well, that is a tricky question. That's a matter of private possession. So that is very difficult. Here in Spain, we can just access. That is public. So you can always get there. We have other kind of issues like the vegetation around the rivers that make it really, really hard. But you cannot get into private property. I don't know if AMBER can really help there. Something like very basic in the
It's the first time that I get this question about this issue, to be honest, and but it's an interesting one. Yeah. I don't think we are able to do something now about it, to be honest. Josh, I mean, in the UK, you are experienced.
No, we've surveyed a river in Wales in its entirety, and quite frankly, we just stuck to the river channel. We walked up the rivers. Yeah. We didn't.
Yeah. All right.
Well, we have used other tools.
Maybe this is a moment to go to the next.
Well, can I say something?
Yeah, sure,
because
sure.
Also, AMBER used other tools to take pictures. I mean, the drones make a great tool in these cases when you cannot get in. It's in the same situation. I mean, this is private property, but in other rivers that we could not get into the river to check the barriers, we could use other kind of tools. It's not the perfect solution, of course, but I mean, there's always an option in this way, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you. I think this is a moment to go to the next part of this session, and that is about a bit of discussion. I will do a question to all of you first, and then I invite people who want to discuss to come in. But first, let me do this question, and that is the following. What do you think would be the most important future development of Barrier Tracker? And we discussed about basically two different kind of approaches. One is being used for professionals to make sure that they have all the data of their river or of a river on the map, or to have it more for citizens, saying that, okay, citizens can say, I think this dam should be removed, to be more proactive from citizen point of view. And of course, to be used outside of Europe. These are three things we are looking into right now, and we have to probably make some choices if the budget, most often, is a bit limited. So I see now people are voting at the moment. Most of them are saying that they would like to see the app used by citizens to propose barriers that could be eligible for removal or mitigation. There are also a few people saying make it available for professionals to do field surveys, and quite a few people also say to use it outside Europe. Let me just share this with you so you can see it. So the majority, 60%, says let's make it useful for citizens to help prioritizing, maybe, to find dams which should be either removed or mitigated. Let me ask if there's anyone at attendees who would like to join the discussion about this. For example, I can imagine that Anneke, you seem to be very active on this issue. Can we maybe ask you to join the discussion, or maybe Polona, I know you're quite active on this issue too. Are you interested to join the discussion? If so, or Ruta, you're very welcome to join. If not, then let me first ask Sarah, what do you think when you see the answers on this question? I know you are very much interested to have, I get a response I see from Uros that she has no microphone available. That's a shame, otherwise we could have had a discussion here. Sarah, what do you think? If you see that most people think that it should be targeting citizens more in future to help them pointing out dams which should be removed or mitigated, more than professional use, because I think I heard you saying that we should use it more for professionals. What do you think if you hear that?
Well, I'm surprised about that answer. I think that it's great that the citizens had that option and to select barriers and propose actions for in those barriers, like removal or adaptive management. But I'm very skeptical about it, because we work a lot with general public, and first of all, I believe we need a complete database of what we have there, because remove a barrier is not that simple. It's not that just I point it and we can do it. I mean, some barriers are obsolete and we are not using them anymore, but it doesn't make sense to remove them because they have other barriers upstream or downstream. And sometimes, I mean, the decision, you have to put many things in balance. You have to decide how to use the money to better improve the ecology of that river. And I'm not really sure if a citizen science can, if citizen science or just citizens can do that. I mean, it's true that they could point out barriers that are obsolete or barriers that, propose some barriers. But in the end, I think that the first step is to have the most complete database so we can manage, we ourselves, or the organisms that are in charge of managing rivers. I mean, if they have a complete database themselves, they can choose which barriers to remove or to adapt. But if they don't really know what the data, they cannot do it themselves. Yeah. And they are the responsible institutions for that.
Yeah, clear. Bas, maybe, or Josh, maybe you have something to say about it?
I think like that's a good point, but I also think like an app like this and a program like this serves two purposes. It serves the purpose of really gathering data, but it also serves the purpose of awareness. So if more people start using it, maybe it's not as reliable, but if we gather a very big group of people that are committed to doing this kind of work, tracking barriers in rivers, then we will have a European or a global group of people that are spreading the word about what is happening, what they're doing. There's an app for this. And I think that it gives them a nice option that, yes, it is a complicated process, but that, for example, I could imagine being a barrier tracker going out. I have a river very close, my favorite river in my favorite forest, and there's a barrier in there. And how awesome would it be if you send it and then you get a reply from somebody saying, hey, we have started the process of funding a removal for this or whatever. I know this is a very long process, but this is a best case scenario, for example. That would give quite a big satisfaction, I can imagine, to somebody who would track a barrier. Of course, this is wishful thinking, but I would really like to like to be able to do something like that.
But is it possible to integrate it in one app? Is that realistic? You
mean the option to have something as a removal?
Well, it's a different. As you were saying, it's doing both, servicing both now. It's being used for citizens, but also maybe for professionals. Mm-hmm. It's doing both now. But should we keep it like that, or maybe you need two apps?
Yeah, that is the question. I think what we then would want to see is how would an expert version, like how different would it look? Like, I mean, what extra things do expert want to give in terms of information? How different is that from something that a citizen science can provide? And if they cannot provide, just leave it blank. It's
yeah. I'm curious about and Sarah, maybe is there something you have an opinion about this as well? Apollona, are you?
Yeah.
Hi.
I'm thinking from the perspective when I'm talking with stakeholders. So, for example, the experts, they have their own protocols that they have to follow and their own parameters that they want to record for an obstacle. And this is usually much more detailed and much more complicated than the one that are currently inserted into the app. So if something like that would be developed, I would suggest just at the start, you have to designate yourself either I'm an expert or I'm a citizen science.
Oh.
And then you get a different set of questions, different set of parameters to measure, because for some of them, I know experts use a lot of different tools to measure flow, velocity, and a lot of stuff that's connected to barriers and that upon which you can decide whether to remove a barrier or not. But from the other side, I think the feedback that we get from the citizen scientist is, so, okay, we're gonna mark all these barriers, then what? What's the purpose? And so having them designate 1 or 2 barriers for removal would give them the purpose to be even more active and to record even more obstacles, and telling them, okay, so you can record, I don't know how many obstacles, but just show us the ones that you think would be most important. That would give him a purpose and would motivate him more. So that's why I think it's better to go and develop the citizen science before the expert part, or just do 2 lines within one app.
I very much like that proposal that you make, that this is a question to ask in the beginning. Are you interested as an expert, or well, we have to find the right wording, but or are you just interested to flag specific barriers which should get extra attention?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
When you do have, Ariane, within your dam removal program, you have like a form with the key questions that are important. So, I mean, it's a matter maybe of selecting the most important questions, as well as we did for the actual barrier tracker that guides us. And of course, maybe it takes to, something like a form to contact, or are you willing to work with us, or so we can get farther, not just with the barrier tracker, because put all that information maybe in an app is too much, but maybe we can make some balance in the information by answering some of those questions. Do you have barriers upstream? Do you have barriers downstream? What things do you see in the area? Whatever, no? And that could help to, I don't know, address. But I agree with Bologna. That's right, that one of the things that citizens want when they participate in these kind of programs is to be active on it. And after uploading barriers, it's like, now what?
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's quite a good, clear direction we actually can use, I think, in the coming months maybe, and after that, depending also a little bit on potential funding from different sources. Okay, that's been really useful. Josh, is there something you would like to add to this? Josh, we don't hear you. Okay, well,
sorry. Yes, no, I've had these discussions about having potentially 2 options for users. So are you a scientist or are you a professional? And I think, yes, it would be interesting to see if, to get feedback from citizen scientists, if that would put them off. Because the danger of asking that question is they go, oh, well, maybe there's information here that I know nothing about, so actually I'm not going to even participate. But
Right.
I think that's his point about having the tool just as a communication piece is very important, because the amount of times I've explained the app to people at science fairs and other events, and you're not just explaining how the app works, you're explaining the issue of fragmentation, because it's completely unknown. So just letting people know that there's fish in their river, or that there's dams in their river, or these dams aren't just a place to swim. It's a useful communication tool.
I see a lot of heads nodding there, so I guess that's a joint view. Okay, then is there something else that somebody from attendees, or then raise hand please, if there's something you would like to add. If not, we're going to close the session. If you want to propose something, this is the moment, because now we have some experts of the tracker in the room. There's another chat coming in, I see, from Uros, who has not a microphone, so cannot be asked aloud. Gathering basic information on large scale overweights the depth of info. Yeah, so that's an issue, of course. If you ask information from a lot of people, basic information, then it's going to be less detailed. So now this is something to explore further, indeed, and we still have 2 months to look into that, and hopefully after that as well.
I was wondering, maybe for last thing to add, I really like the idea that you have this ID for the dam. And I noticed I'm from Lithuania, so my country has most of the obstacles marked as other. So I was wondering if this ID thing, and if the atlas will survive further, maybe this ID thing could be suggested for the national databases to...
Which ID do you mean, Ruta?
So when in Atlas the information is collected, you were saying you have like the barrier ID, and it has like certain aspects that has to be listed, I think, in the database. And I'm just wondering, in Lithuania, for example, almost all of the barriers are listed as other.
Yes.
So that means that the national system didn't have specified what kind of barrier it is. So maybe that would be a good thing to suggest if you continue the collaboration, to add a bit more detail, because they do have a lot of barriers in the system, but they just indicate it as a barrier.
Exactly, and not more information. In that case, that would be very interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think that would be to explore in a next generation project. I mean, the next project.
Yeah,
so,
I see this as a great way to try to unify at least European countries, how they record maybe this. Or...
Can I make a suggestion, Ruta, that maybe it's good to keep contact, because I see a comment from Polona that she says, I'd be happy to be involved in future project development of barrier tracker. Maybe that's also from Lithuania, from your part, interesting as well. Is that something, would that be of interest for you?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay, so let's, maybe you can share, well, we have your email address. Let's keep in contact about that.
Yeah, but great work.
Thank you, thank you. Something other people, is there something you would like to comment? If so, please do that now. Yes, I mean, no, then in that sense, I can ask Josh. Is it possible you will end this session with a guitar song of you? I'm Josh Jones, he's a PhD at Swansea University, very active on barrier tracker, very active in the AMBER project, on the atlas, and also, you know, an artist. I mean, how cool is that? And he agreed to play a bit of guitar. I will set up a campfire that goes along, and that's for a few minutes. And after that, we close this session, and we thank you for watching. We thank you for interacting, and thank the speakers, of course, Sarah, and all people behind the scenes working on the summer camp. But most of all, thank you all for watching this and for making this work a success, because in the end, we do this to improve the situation for European rivers. And that needs cooperation of all of us all. So thanks a lot for that. And let's continue this good work. Let's continue, have a next project of AMBER or other projects. And let's, you know, update each other, share best practices, inspire each other, and let's make the world and Europe a lot better with our European rivers. So thanks a lot, and hope to see you again in future. Josh, can you start playing? Okay. Thank you, Josh. Goodbye, everybody, and let it flow. Thank you.